Getting ready to scrub the bottom of this boat down. I've just got some Dawn dishwashing detergent and some hot water and scrub brush and sponge and whatever. And this is an ablative paint, and I'm gonna be putting ablative paint back over it. But just gonna, rather than sand it, I'm just gonna give it a really good scrubbing and then rinse it off with fresh water and let it dry off, and then put some more ablative paint back over it. I'm taping off this Montgomery 17 hull for bottom paint, so I'm taping off the waterline. And I'm gonna tell you, the lap strake, it's a lot more difficult to get a good straight appearing waterline. You have to do what doesn't look like what it would be, but then when you look at it dead level, you see what you've got. So it's a little bit tricky. The previous person that take this off and painted it did a good job. It's a very straight waterline, so I'm not having to try to recreate it. All I've got to do is just tape off what it was. But like I say, when you're completely horizontal level, it's straight. But when you look at it from underneath, it's very much looks like it's not straight. But that's because of the thickness of these the lap strakes. You have to allow for the thickness of it when it steps. So, getting ready to paint the bottom this morning. Okay, I've got the waterline taped off. Like you say, when it's when you're level, horizontally level from it, the bottom of the tape is nice and straight. But because of those lap strakes and the thickness of the lap strakes, when you look at it from down underneath, it has steps. But out here, it looks level. I'm using Pettit Hydrocoat on the bottom of this boat and just putting black back on it. And I'm going to be putting 2 coats of the Pettit Hydrocoat over the top of this, which is the ablative that's on there now, that's been scrubbed down really good, washed down really good. Ready to put the second coat of bottom paint on this boat. I've decided to use a brush this time. I think it'll be faster than that little roller. Be easier to get the back side underneath the little lip on those lap strakes. Got 2 coats of bottom paint on it. Waterline's pretty straight. It's not too bad. Another thing I think I'm going to address on this Montgomery 17, if you'll notice here, when the centerboard pennant comes up, the winch is offset a little bit, which makes a little bit of a wear point right there. And I don't know that I want to keep cutting glass. I think somebody cut this open bigger so they could tie a pennant on it without taking the centerboard down. But anyway, I'm going to try to fix this so that this pennant comes dead straight up as it winds around that drum right there, so that it's in the center of that opening right there so that it doesn't chafe right there. I think that would be a wise thing to do. This is a 2.5 inch drum in here. It's about 3 1/4 here. It's about 2 1/2 in here. Got a bunch of winches. I think I'm gonna see if I can just find I think I've got a brand new winch. It's an odd winch. I don't have a match to that might fill the bill right there. Just change that out. Well, this Montgomery 17 that I'm working on, it has Barlow 15 winches on it, but the winch for the pennant for raising the centerboard is a 14, which is partly plastic, and the winch handle doesn't lock in it. It doesn't have a little groove for the winch handle to lock in there. But the main problem I've got is that it's out of center with the pennant line about 1 inch, and I want to fix that. And I've got a brand new Barlow 16 winch here, single speed winch. As new, it's never been installed. Still got the sticker on it, it's never been installed. But I've only got one of them, and it's been sitting on my shelf forever. So I think what I'm gonna do is install that, replace that with that one. It's a larger diameter, which will move it over some. And I'm gonna try to use one of the bolt holes for one of the bolts in the new one, and then pivot it on that bolt until I get it lined up, and then re-drill the rest of the holes, and then just fill the other holes. Okay, this one has an Allen screw. For taking it apart. Yeah, this one's made out of some kind of plastic. This one here is brand new, never been installed. But I've had it for several years sitting on the shelf. I never had but one of them, so I just never had an opportunity to need it. Just trying to mark where it needs to go. I'm going to go over just a fraction more than that, but I got to put a 1/4 inch spacer behind it to get my clearance that I need. And then it should be good. And this one has the lock for the handle. Yeah, take that apart. I'll be using that one hole from the old one, and then I'll have to fill in 3.
put some tape over the pennant hole there so it won't get trash and debris down on top of that centerboard and maybe jam it up. And we'll drill my other 3 new holes. And then I'll cut me some backer, a 1/4 inch backer plate for here, and see what I'm gonna do on the outside. Well, my cord must not be plugged in. I'm bedding in the bolts on this with life caulk, but life caulk. Well, I was trying to, just all fell out. This is a solid fiberglass backer plate here, but you know, I don't want water dripping in when it rains down into the cockpit floor, so put a little sealant around those bolts to solve that little bit of an issue. And I'm going to put just a little bit behind the washers on the outside as well. See if I can put this thing back together now. I've already wiped off any drilling debris that got on that thing, so I won't have any particles, you know, in the grease. Okay, that's done. That ought to be pretty good. And now the angle is, it's not absolutely straight up and down, but it's real close, and it's close enough now. Now we're, before the pennant line was actually dragging on the side of the fiberglass hole there, and now it's in the center and completely clear. So I think I'm going to change this cleat. I like these cleats for certain situations, but I kind of don't like this cleat here. It's only got 1 horn on it there. The other one's an abbreviated horn on this end. But when I come around, it works, but it's a little bit too close for me there for comfort. I prefer to have the full horn on this side. That way, when I let the centerboard down, when I'm easing it down, I've got that horn right there to catch it on to control it better. And here it's you know, it slips off of it. So I do think I'm gonna change that. No big deal. These cleats are kind of cool though. In certain situations, they work really well. And this is just fastened in with screws into that mahogany core right there. There's actually a mahogany board that's cored into right here that you can actually expose right here where you can see it. And that is just put in with screws, which is sufficient. But yeah, I think I will make that change though. But other than that, I like that. I'll have better leverage. And now if I choose to, I can use a winch handle that locks in now. This one will lock in. And it's not plastic. It's all chromed bronze. So just better all the way around. So I'm changing out this cleat. I didn't like this cleat for this application. And also, come to find out, the screws were completely corroded into the aluminum here. The heads broke off. I ended up having to clip off the screws and just abandon them in the wood and drill new pilot holes for some new screws. But what I am doing, I'm using lanolin to coat, the screws back in here where it's in contact with the aluminum cleat, the backside of the head and those threads that are going through the aluminum cleat, so that hopefully I won't have that corrosion issue in the future. But I've only got one screw in it right here so far. But what I like about just a regular cleat here is that when I'm letting this centerboard down, that gives me really good control right there. I've got a lot of length of that horn there so that I can control letting that centerboard down slowly by hand here without an issue. Before, whenever you would try to lower it, it would pretty much just slip right off of that little short horn. And so you had it just in your hands with the wrappings around the winch, which is, kind of sufficient no more than it weighs, but still, that just gives you much more control right there. So that's why I'm changing it out. It's the same size cleat, it's just a full cleat instead of that shortened horn on it. And fresh screws, like I said, the old screws were completely corroded and actually broke off.